Hi, I'm Rick Lawrence, author of The Jesus-Centered Life, back again to talk about, this time, about what the big deal about Jesus is. So I brought along this, this doesn't may not look like it, but it's a jump rope. It's not currently in use, but I brought it along to show something. So let me just fling this around here. So you can see the heavy end of the jump rope is spinning around my fist. So let's make believe that the ends of the jump rope are the planets and my fist is the sun. They're all orbiting in a rather fast way around the sun right now. But this is what an orbit looks like. It reminds me of what Bono said, the frontman for U2, when he talked about, somebody asked him, what kind of music do you like? And he said, I either like music that's running toward God or running away from God, because both have the same pivot. What he meant was that Jesus was at the center of his orbit, so the kind of music he likes orbits around him, just like this thing is orbited around my fist right now. I'm going to try to not hit myself in the face with that. So what does your life orbit around? Because all of us are orbiting around something. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be Jesus. It can be lots of things. In fact, we can say that it's about God or Jesus, but actually discover that it's not. Other things are actually more important. A good way to answer that question is to ask your friends or your kids, hey, what do you think my life really orbits around? What's the thing that you think is most important to me? What's the thing that my whole life spins around? I think it's a great question to ask. And Jesus asked this question over and over again to the people who would follow him. In fact, when the huge thousands of people, crowds were following him, he did something in John chapter 6 that guaranteed that all of those people would go away rather quickly. John chapter 6 is dominated by Jesus talking about, if you want any part of me, you're going to have to eat my body and drink my blood. And this freaked people out. They thought he was talking about cannibalism or something. And because he wouldn't explain himself over and over again, he just really flummoxed them. And in the end, they thought he was insane. So they all left. And at the end of this massive exodus, he's looking at his disciples and he says such a vulnerable thing. Are you going to leave too? And Peter steps up and says, where else would we go? And I've said, that's the definition of a disciple. Where else would I go? But what is Jesus really saying there? He's saying, I want you to eat me and drink me. And the disciples never really wrangled with that in the moment. But just to close this off, to give you a thought about what it might look like to orbit your life around Jesus, I brought along a couple of things. He said, eat and drink me. So I'm going to take this antioxidant drink, and it's going to go from outside me to inside me. And I'm going to take these raisins, and if I can open the bag, I'm going to take this solid thing from outside me. I'm going to put most of it inside me. Now, what I just did was an incredibly intimate thing. I took something from outside my body and put it inside my body. And Jesus is speaking the language of intimacy here. He's inviting us to invite him into the deepest parts of who we are. Because once we do, we won't be able to go back. We'll start orbiting him instead of whatever else we're orbiting now. That's what it means. So I just encourage you this week, eat a little Jesus, drink a little Jesus, see what happens. I'm going to enjoy my raisins. If you'd like to learn more about what it looks like to live a life centered around Jesus, just visit JesusCenteredLife.com.